and welcome to the Just NBA podcast. My name's Sean Gillen, shows the one and only Mr. Binky, Lucas_Rice. How are you, my man?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me on. You're still you were the first and only other person to ever refer to me as Mr. Binky.
Yeah. The offer's out there for anyone who knows Lucas.
I think that Twitter account is no longer. It's defunct.
Well,
it got slewed off with all the rest of the ones that Musk when he came in with the ban. No.
What the fuck were you tweeting?
No, who was the guy before me? Whoever was in charge of Twitter before me.
They call him Twitter...
Twitter user 0488.
fucking Twitter Zuckerberg. I don't know who it was. Yeah, some fucking developer.
Yeah. But thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, that's... Yeah, welcome on. I've got an intro topic that's like you're going to listen to and be like, fuck, can we get to the meat of the pod? Do you have any funny stuff to say at the top of the pod?
Do I have any funny stuff? No. I think this is our first pod since we've really started consistently releasing film.
Yeah, true.
You and my first pod.
Yeah.
So this is us, everyone. These are those two grating voices behind the camera.
It's a new era of the Deep 2 Podcast Network. It's pretty fun. It's great. It looks great, feels great. We're getting more views than we've ever had before. Could always be more, listener. But yeah, so what, we got the fortnightly Deep 2. I obviously didn't do one. You listened to the last week's episode. I didn't do a pod for a while because we were waiting for the MVP, which just took forever to get announced. But actually, while we're talking about it, it's good to have you on, Lucas, was it?
Yeah.
You've been copying a lot of flack from us here podcast boys about you putting down Shane Gillis-Alexander for weeks and weeks in the group chat. Did you ever say it on the pod? Did you ever slander him on the pod, or are you too PG?
I just don't think I've ever actually slandered Shay. I've never said he's a bad basketballer. I go back to the articles. Last year, when they anointed Jokic the MVP, I said I think it should be Shea or Luka this year. And then this year, I've done a full 180. Call me Dua Lipa, and that's how she pronounces it. And this year, I just don't. I think it's just. I just feel I couldn't have given it to anyone but Jokic.
Yeah, true. Yeah. He's the first player to average triple-double and not win MVP. Like the Jokic argument's great. 68 wins though.
Yeah, that's 68. That is good. That's very good.
And then like 48, 49 for the Nuggets.
Yeah, and it would have been 0.
Yeah, you're always like, replace Shea with like a starting level point guard. And I think they don't win 68 games, but replace Shea with Jokic. Now, that's a discussion we're going to have today at the top of this pod. Who starts at the 3? I've been playing a lot of NBA 2K. This is prime 2K time.
Right. What before the NBA Finals?
No, more so just like before the off season, right? Because everything's theoretical right now. It's like you actually can't trade Kevin Durant. Yeah. So I'm going to listen to podcasts talking about trading Kevin Durant. We're going to talk about him for a little bit, but I'm going to listen to pods talking about Kevin Durant for weeks and weeks and weeks, and literally nothing's going to happen. So I've got all this spare time to listen to the pod, put it in 2K, see how it cranks out. So like I did like KD to the Wolves and was like, oh, cool. Austin Ainge was hired below/above his father with the Utah Jazz. And Utah was like, Larry's really bad on 2K. Like it's just very hard to like have a good game with him.
Sure.
As you could probably guess, right? So I've never really done like Utah Jazz rebuilds.
Yeah.
But he came out today in his intro presser and said, oh, we're going to compete. Like right away. Like we've done the tanking. We're not doing a full bottom out. We are ready. It's sort of like Portland Trailblazers, where it's like we've got good players, but we're not going to be good. Yeah. So I'm like, how good can the Utah Jazz be this offseason? So I was like, they've got heaps of cap space. Go to free agency. I don't want to like sign James Harden or something, but it's like, what's a team out there that's shedding salary that the Utah Jazz can pick up and just absorb into their cap space? And the Boston Celtics are shedding salary.
Right? Shedding.
Yeah. And so by the time Jason Tatum comes back, you got to look like Al Horford's going to be retired, Drew Holiday's going to be 36, right? And it's like, okay, who can the Jazz get here? So I traded 2 first-round picks and other stuff, plus Jordan Clarkson, Ciao, for Derek White to the Utah Jazz. Okay. And it sort of built around a great defensive core, like massive asterisks, Colin Sexton, Derek White, and who's their center?
It doesn't matter, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Walker Kessler.
Walker Kessler. What do you think about that?
I just feel like there's much more pressing basketball news that's happening.
Yeah. This is 9 o'clock. Put a podcast on before you go to bed.
Yeah. What do I think about that? Yeah. So you're telling me that what you could have said is I started a 2K rebuild and I got Derek White on the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, how interesting does that sound?
Yeah, well, it's hard work. You know,
Yeah.
it's like checking into work. Like I'm trying to win matchups like 85 to 92.
What? Oh, the game score.
the
Oh my
game.
God,
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. I thought you were talking about like you know when you have like the pre-game and it's like Ja versus Jamal Murphy, and it says their ranking, their ratings. That's what I thought you knew.
You can't. How do you? Whatever.
Anyway, I haven't thought about the Utah Jazz in quite a while. I haven't thought about what Derek White would look like on the Utah Jazz. What's he like, a real toolsy combo guard that could play the three?
Guess his rating on 2K.
86.
87.
Wow. I stand with Alessio. All of them are too high.
Yeah. They are all too high. But then like you play FIFA and it's like, oh, like the best striker on this bottom prem team is a 71. That doesn't seem right.
That should be higher.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, the NBA Finals. The most
Let's talk about your rebuild.
the most unpredictable NBA Finals. If at the start of the season we were to predict who was going to be there, it would be OKC and probably Boston, or if you're really high on Cleveland. I think this is so much fun. Where do you want to start with the NBA Finals?
Well, where do you want to start, Sean? Because I feel like, you're a big basketball fan.
You're pretty big bud. You were searching that Polish women's second div clips and like, God, you must love this stuff.
Yeah. Where do I want to start? Well, I think the main thing that I've been thinking about this postseason, well, actually really since the conference finals, is coaching. That's what's been in front of mind for me. It's been plaguing me, man. But yeah, because I feel like earlier in the playoffs, I feel like the series were way more fun to watch, and all the players, there was so many dynamics going on. But then as the playoffs have progressed, I think the Eastern Conference Finals especially was just such a contrast in coaching styles. And then I think we'll get to Mark Dagnall. Still don't know how to pronounce his name, but he already looks like he's following the quote unquote blueprint of a great coach. You know how they always accidentally have the good role players. But yeah, that's what I've been thinking. Do you want to go anywhere with the coaching side of things?
Yeah, coaching has been really fun, and I think the first round was honestly the most fun first round that we've had. Like, barring Orlando versus Boston, right, which is something I haven't even thought about for months, and it happened a month ago. The playoffs has been good. There was also, especially with Tom Thibodeau getting fired, just the lack of dynamism in Tom Thibodeau's. Like I would say, like the Knicks' offense is dynamic because you've got Brunson and Towns, right? And you can just churn out regular season wins with that. But just the lack of depth of dynamism, which is something that we're seeing all the successful coaches succeed with. Where it's like Mark Daigneault, it's like, you know what, we need to stop Julius Randle. I'm actually going to go with Kenny Hustle, which is the name, kind of Rick Williams. It's like, wow, okay, cool. Thibs is like, oh, fuck, I'm going to use Landry Shamet. And it's like, well, Landry Shamet, maybe that's also the player, not the coaching. But you've just got, and like Jay Will, like you're saying, Jay Will, the big one. He's fucking really strong, by the way. He's like really muscly. But it's like, oh, let's just fucking throw him. Let's just let him like hip and shoulder Jokic for 10 minutes. Like, all these guys are throughout the regular season when they use it as just like a breeding ground for ideas and for a time for experimentation. Those coaches are really coming through. And those coaches are the ones who are really succeeding, where it's like you've just got all these different looks. And I guess this has always been happening. Like people used to pat Pop in the back, where it's like, hey, I guess you play Kawhi Leonard at the 5 for 100 minutes in a year, so that come 5 possessions against the Miami Heat when they go extra small or something, or maybe it's like Bosch at the 5. Well, Bosch is always at the 5, but you're just ready. Like you just know what that looks like. Where as soon as the 6 players in New York's rotation don't work, it's like, well, fuck, man, like I guess we need to bring out like fucking Darrell Wright's little cousin or brother, right? Just see, like, I didn't even know he was on the roster. So you make a good point. Before I go back to you, the five coaches of the year between 2018 and 2023 have all been fired.
Wow, that's good. That's good trivia.
From Dwayne Casey to Mike Brown.
Well, Sean, I have my own trivia to come back at you with. So I was looking back at it and I was like, who are the coaches that were active this year that came into the league at around the same time as Rick Carlisle? Because I've got a little bit of an agenda here. First of all, trivia, do you want to guess? So I was looking back. I wanted to pick the coaches that started in the 2000s, the Ooze, and were still active this year, 2025. But I extended it to 2011 because that's when Thibodeau started as a head coach, and I just thought too poetic it just works itself out at that point. There have been. Or do you want me to tell you how many coaches there have been, or do you want to guess who they are?
What am I guessing? How many coaches?
How many coaches started coaching before 2011 and are still active now? Doesn't have to be one stint.
Yeah. So like Rick Carlisle started with the Pacers in
That's one.
Yeah. Carlisle, Spoelstra was 2010.
Spoelstra's correct.
Pop, he did coach at the start of this year.
Yeah. Pop's correct.
Steve Kerr was like 2014.
Steve Kerr's, it's gone.
Not there. So I'm not. I know there's probably one I'm missing, so I'm just going to say 4.
There's two you're missing.
Oh, sorry, Doc.
And there's one that you've actually already said.
Steve Kerr.
Before we started the trivia, you said 2 coach of the years have been fired.
Dwayne Casey.
And? No, not him, the other one.
Tom Thibodeau.
Mike Brown.
Oh, crap. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So I went back and I looked through all the rosters, and the first thought I had as soon as actually in game 6 of the conference finals was, can I make the argument that Rick Carlisle is the most underrated coach of all time?
Yeah.
And I personally can't because I haven't seen enough of the NBA's history. But is he the second best coach in that list? Like, think about all the other coaches, all their deep runs.
On that list.
Thibs just had his deepest playoff run, 10 wins versus 9 he had with the Bulls, but he had, Cat and Brunson, he had D Rose and whoever.
Yeah.
Pop had everyone.
Yeah.
Spo's deepest runs, he had the big 3, and then
Even his shallowest runs, yeah.
But and then I'm sure most people would say Butler's better than Hallie.
Yeah.
That Butler's better than Hallie. And then the other coaches, Mike Brown had LeBron famously.
Yeah.
Doc's had everyone. Where would you rank it? Because I would say it's Pop. Then I don't know how I couldn't say Carlisle.
That's Spoelstra.
You reckon it's Spoelstra?
That's Spoelstra,
yeah. Okay.
But he's player development with throughout the regular season, just getting Kendrick Nunn to be good for 3 years, and then just all of a sudden he's in Europe, right? Guys like that, that comes into it. Like Rick Carlisle is, I think, to be a good coach, you have to be a good developmental coach. I just don't think he's at that same level as Spoelstra.
You reckon? But how many?
He reclaims guys and finds guys.
Spo. True. Okay. Well, who's come along for the Pacers since Carlisle's been there? Like Nemhard, Naismith.
Yeah.
Like who else are those coaches are doing that? Probably Spo. Well, actually, you know what? I'll give Spo 50-50.
Yeah.
I reckon Spo's real hit or miss on that.
Split hairs. Rick Carlisle, incredible coach. Do you have any final comments, or should we pivot to how he's going to break down the best defense we've ever seen in our lives?
Well, before I knock it back to you, I think the other thing I was thinking about was the play styles, and now it's just going to be a half-court fast break the whole series.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah. It will be, and it's like a trope. Basketball always slows down at the highest levels.
Right.
I don't think it will slow down this series. which is pretty incredible. And how often do you think? Because is it going to be whoever's faster has the advantage to win the basketball game, right? And then how often is Isaiah Hartenstein going to play this series? And how often are we going to see no Hartenstein or Chet? That's if we see no Hartenstein and Chet, I think it's sort of advantage Indiana, because it's like, well, these guys are so quick, you sort of have to keep up with them. They have to go mega small, and what is it? Maybe it's Jay Will at the 5 or something. And I was thinking about this the other day, and it's a bit sick of me. But I think this series is going to come down to, can Miles Turner overpower people in the post? Because I think that's going to be we're going to see a bunch of stages in these first 2 games maybe, and it's just going to come down to it. Miles Turner sort of has to play. Well, he doesn't actually. They've sort of been dropping him. But if Miles Turner is going to be out there and he's going to be guarded by Kenny Hustle or Jay Will, he's not like Rudy Gobert in the post, right? If he can actually do like a couple of dribbles, turn around, hook shot, or just simply overpower his man, like Rudy did against the Lakers where he had that 30-30 game or whatever. If Miles Turner can do that and can be an option in the post, that's going to force a big man to come onto the court and guard him. And then Indiana's just going to have that fast break advantage, or just be able to like get guys wearing. But I do say that getting guys wearing for the OKC is like get the best defenders you've ever seen in your life wearing, and they're just going to be able to get there because they're faster and stronger than you. What do you think?
Well, I never thought I'd hear anyone say Miles Turner will be the key, but he has been outrageously efficient from 3 throughout his career in the playoffs, actually. Now that I'm looking at it live. Holy fuckamoly. He's shot 40% over his career.
From 3 in the playoffs?
Yeah. Fuck. In 59 games.
That's, low-key really experienced.
Well, that's the thing. Like it was always like, when are they trading Miles Turner? And it's like, wow, he's really, what would they do without him? Yeah, what would they do without him?
Well, I'm writing that script for the next film room about just like team building Indiana Pacers. Now, I don't want to like give away the lead too much, but Paul George snapped his leg in Las Vegas in an exhibition Team USA game, and then Larry Bird was like, fuck, what are we going to do? Just had a gap year. And it was like David West, CJ Miles, and like Louis Scola, like really good role players, but just no star to go to. And they won like 30-something games, and it was like, or like 20-something games. It wasn't full bottoming out. And then they got the 8th pick. They said, let's draft this center. We need a center. Roy Hibbert has been made the way of the dodo. Very, very, very early. And again, that's something else I remember. There were workouts with him and Porzingis where teams were just like, look, there's 2 centers in this draft. Let's just get them in a freaking gym and just watch them post up against each other. And I remember seeing clips, and it was just like, wow, how the fuck do you differentiate these dudes? They're both like unicorns, right? But yeah, he started playing basketball with David West and Louis Scola.
True. Yeah, true. He really has linked the errors,
like the 4 errors,
Yeah. So where does that leave you?
What's the question?
Who do you reckon will feel more comfortable? Who do you reckon will get to their stuff more easily? Well, you're saying whirring everything around will work in OKC's favor?
Well, so I've been so questioning how the Pacers can win, because I predicted OKC to win in 5. I reckon they've just got too many capable bodies against Hallie. Hallie has won too many games where it's like, wow, he hit that crazy game winner, and it's like, okay, 2 points in the first half, or is he going to have 20 points in the second half? Maybe, but it's going to be 48 minutes of getting guarded by a really good player.
That's true.
And there's just no holes in OKC. So even if they start wearing everyone around, Mark Daigneault is going to look Miles Turner right in the eye and say, this is a 6'5" man on top. Like Alex Caruso guarded Jokic and then went to go guard Julius Randle and just absolutely killed him. It's like it's like he's been working out in Goku's gravitational chamber against Jokic, and then he goes down a level onto Earth, and it's like, wow, I'm absolutely bullying Julius Randle. Now he's gone into like a 0 gravity chamber as opposed to a 100 gravity chamber, where it's like, oh, you have to stop Miles Turner? Sure, man. Like this is his difficulty progression's gone from the hardest ever anyone has ever done on a basketball court to possibly the easiest.
But could the chink in the armor be Miles Turner, the catch and shoot big?
Yeah. I don't think so. I think there's almost no way Indiana lose this. Indiana win this. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I've picked, as you may have seen from the social graphic, OKC in 6, and it should be banned to pick in 6, but I went with it anyway. They're just so stacked, OKC. I will say the one thing that benefits Indiana is that OKC just like presses you so hard, and if there's any team whose play style can counter that, it is Indiana.
True.
And they're ready for that. And like Carlisle will just be like, he'll find the gimmick. He'll be like, okay, you're putting everyone up there. I'll find some play where Hallie can just lob the ball over everyone. Somehow Obi Toppin's just sprinting from the corner for an alley-oop. So that's in Indiana's favor. Carlisle, ran with his depth, and that's been one of their strengths, and it's been the same thing for OKC's. Number 9 on OKC's rotation, you're probably saying is better than number 9 on Indiana's rotation.
What, TJ McConnell?
Marron. So I think both teams will stay with their depth. I think that, there is that benefit of the way Indiana play, but we haven't really spoken about OKC. They're really, really good. Like, they got this ridiculous starting lineup. J-Dub weirdly hasn't had a good postseason in terms of scoring.
Yeah, sort of up and down.
But it doesn't really matter. Like, the team is built for 1, 2, 3 of its starters to have a bad game. And then someone can just come in and, provide something else, or change the way the game is played, or get the pace back on their terms, or whatever. There's just so many things you have to beat OKC.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Indiana's offense, and like, if they do win, it's because of their offense. But it's like how they're stopping Shea. Like Aaron Naismith rolled his ankle badly and was questionable against the Knicks. Yeah, he's had a week of rest, but it's like, if he's not 100%, who's their option on Shea? Like, who's guarding Shea? Like, is it Ben Shepherd?
I don't know, man. I reckon it's got to be like, it can't be one person aside from Naismith. I think it should be Naismith should be the primary, and then just because the rest of them can't guard him, and Naismith probably can't. But if he just every single play, if he has a different player, and it's like, okay, I got to do this on this guy, but I haven't done that since game 2 of last series. That's the only real way. You got to just like try and get him into this, like, just try and give him something he hasn't seen in a while. But like, his 3-point shooting is up as well in the playoffs. He did unbelievable at getting to his shot in the mid-range. There was so many times against Mini where the team would just be popping the Thunder, and then they would just like run 4 ISOs for Shea. And every other team tries that, and it doesn't work because they don't have an ISO scorer. But Shea is just like, okay, everyone's hot. I'm going to slow the game down. Our whole game plan is going to be, we're going to get 4 stops. We know we're going to get 4 stops. And then I'm going to take 4 ISO possessions on my own. And you're just going to be left wondering, like, what do we do about this? And I think that they will be able to get to that among a million other things every single quarter.
Yeah, Thunder are really good.
Riding something on the wall.
Yeah, the Thunder are very good. We could be at the start. I think there's been a lot of positive chatter about Indiana, and there should be. They've made the first finals in a million years, but I think we're going to watch game 1, and the Thunder are going to absolutely clean them up.
Yeah.
And we're going to be a bit like, fuck, we got 3 more games of this.
You reckon it's going to be a 4?
No, like
4-man lead plus Marcus.
I wanted to predict a sweep, but I didn't, just out of respect. But
out of respect, because Indiana can get hot. I feel like they will just have like my prediction is that they'll have a very spirited performance early in the piece. Say a 1-1 or a 2-1. And then it'll be 3-1 series over.
Yeah.
But Indiana just get this win in game 5.
Yeah.
Even though that'll be in OKC. Actually, I didn't think about that.
Also Denver, like they gave Denver some chances because they're a young team. Like, they gave them some opportunities where it's just like, hey, sort of close this one out here. Close it out in game 6, or like go into, if you were the experienced, like if you're the 2018 Warriors, you would go into game 6 and just shut them up. But, I mean, not everyone can be that, but like, we should be talking about this OKC team like some of the greatest dynasties. They should be starting that, and I think next playoffs they're going to have the experience of like, fuck, we could have put Denver away in 6 games, but then they just like they out veteraned us. And I think next playoffs is going to be like the 73 win Warriors, where it's like you're just going to fucking clean 4th, where it's like you've been there, you know the stress of a game 7, and you're just going to show up a game earlier.
That's what it feels like. It feels like 68 wins is the baseline for next year. I don't know if this has been said on this show, the W basketball show starring Sean Carroll. But did you know that the second youngest, this Oklahoma City team is the second youngest playoff team of all time?
Wow.
And last year they were the youngest playoff team of all time. Oh, well, you didn't know that.
No.
So that's kind of concerning as a fan of another team, especially my team.
Yeah. Well, no, you're in an opposite conference. Speaking of Derek White trades, the Thunder can just take him in. They can just trade like Nikola Topic and like a couple of their picks.
Yeah. God, he'd fit so well.
Yeah. Or if it's like, Caruso, you're 32. Let's just get the other Caruso.
Yeah. As well as.
Yeah. Or like Lou Dort, Nikola Topic, couple of picks.
What about just Nikola Topic and all the picks?
Yeah, I don't think that's enough money going out.
Nah, well, we'll get our guys on.
All right, so we have 18 more minutes to go. Yeah, you've picked OKC in 6 and I've picked OKC in 5. Which piece of news do you want to start with?
Yeah, a lot of news, man. A lot of teams really found their way into the news.
Do you want to talk about Thibs for a bit? We sort of did at the start, but were there any other wrap-ups, or do you want to talk KD and Johnny Antetokounmpo?
I think Thibs. I think Thibs is the one. I feel the same way to different magnitudes about Doc Rivers. Now, I think the Doc slander probably went on for a little too long, but since since Philly, but then it's so hard because every single coach has the same outcome in Philly, and it rhymes with Joel Embiid. But but even still, Milwaukee was like, something's going on here.
You keep talking, by the way. I was just checking.
Even in Milwaukee, it was like, something's going on here. Why is everyone so mad about everything?
Yeah.
But I think what Thibs and Doc both don't do, and what I think the next Knicks coach, I just hope the next Knicks coach doesn't fuck it up entirely, but just come in and fit your players around each other and mold your system to who you've got, because it doesn't work anymore. Like, the game has changed so much from when they had most of their success, and Thibs has done a pretty good job of getting wins, adopting a pretty similar, with a bit more malleability than Doc that he had in 2011 with the Bulls. But that's just the only thing. Like, they're obviously great basketball coaches, but it's like, come on, man, you lose the same way every time. Thibs lost the same way every single time without fail.
Zach Lowe said in his podcast today, he was just wrapping up Heath's Thibs thoughts, and he goes, there was this game in January or February against the Charlotte Hornets, and Mikal Bridges played the first 42 straight minutes, 46 minutes of that game, and they won by 25.
Oh my God.
Like, just stop that, you've got good younger, I don't want to say good, like, they've got Pacome Didier, they've got Ariel Huck-Porty, right? They've got guys you can try out there.
They've got the Nemhards.
Yeah. Just have a look. I don't have too much to say that we've already said, but who's the next guy? The next guy's got a big job. New York's obviously very hard to coach in. I think they're going the route of young, unproven, like Johnny O'Brien.
Are you joking?
Yeah.
Johnny O'Brien?
No. I think he's just a name that was mentioned by not a Knicks source. Why do you ask?
Like the former player Johnny O'Brien?
I believe so. He is. Oh no. That I know that dude. He wears 2 sleeves. Wow, he plays in South Korea. South Korean League debut, 2025.
I reckon I'll be an NBA coach one day.
Knicks? No, it's okay. Well, there's this other O'Brien guy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a big job. And apparently he had... they parted ways with him, or fired. Apparently he had Jalen Brunson's blessing, which was weird, and Leon Rose also liked him. It seems like James Dolan came in and was the guy that said, no, we need to change this. But it's been likened to... God, I love the Warriors. Moving on from Mark Jackson and getting Steve Kerr. Right?
Right, okay.
Steve Kerr was the first choice. He was also interviewing for the Knicks job, which was interesting. That's when Phil Jackson was the president of basketball operations. I think he was the first president of basketball operations because he didn't want the GM title. Fun fact. But the Warriors were interviewing Steve Kerr, and if they couldn't get Steve Kerr, they were going to hire Stan Van Gundy.
Whoa.
Stan Van Gundy
Sliding doors.
would not have been the right
Elevator
guy.
screen.
He would not have been the right guy, obviously. And I think the Knicks are going to have potentially a Steve Kerr to hire, and then potentially a Stan Van Gundy. And it's so hard with coaches, but like if they bring in, I say like for not going to happen, but Steve Clifford, right? It's like, well, fuck, you can just wrap up the next 5 years of your franchise. Like if they bring in someone like that, it's like you're cooked. Do you like Mike Budenholzer for him?
I don't mind it. The one I think the one I like the most is Mike Malone.
Yeah.
Like he had Jokic and Murray. Cat wants to be Jokic so bad. So why not get the guy that's led Jokic to 3 MVPs or however many he won?
Yeah.
And then also, I don't know if maybe I wasn't watching at the right times, but I just feel like every time Brunson was running a pick and roll, it was with Mitch Robb.
Yeah, right. He definitely ran pick and rolls with Cat.
Okay, well maybe I was just blinking at that moment. But yeah, I don't know. I just think too much standing around, too much mucking around.
Yeah,
man.
the muck around. No.
Legit, like just get a coach that's gonna use 2 separate playmakers because you've got 2 separate playmakers.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Malone's that guy. Sorry, Mike.
You reckon?
No, I think he was a great defensive orchestrator. He's a lot like Thibs, and I think he was like, hey, Jokic, Murray, we'll figure it out. Like, you guys can just create advantages and just find the fucking advantage.
Yeah.
I don't think it was there was no like second pass happening in that basketball organization.
Yeah.
Yeah,
true.
I think it was just like, we've got our chalk and cheese and we're going to fucking just cross our fingers when Jokic is off the court.
Yeah.
And we're sort of seeing that now with David Adelman, where it's like, he actually got hired as the full coach, but
Crazy.
he might, again, just be a defensive orchestrator and then sort of hope. They need to find like a Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson's assistant just got hired, Kevin Orr or something.
Sure.
Kevin Orr.
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah.
Phoenix Suns. I don't know, man.
You reckon a young guy though?
I reckon a young guy.
What do you reckon? Like the job interview process is for an NBA coach?
This, like there's a lot of things in basketball we're never going to truly understand, right? And like understanding what makes a good coach is one of them as well. I don't know what the process is, because how do you tell? Like I to answer your question, I think they say come with like 5 plays and why you think these plays are going to work, or come with 5 defensive schemes.
I reckon that's the whole. That'd have to be. Oh, but then like, I mean, he's front of mind now. But like Doc in Boston, it was just like, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to rev these guys up every single time. I'm going to have a good defensive scheme, and then we're going to just play the slowest offense ever. But then I feel like now it's like, all right, what's the game plan? What are you coming in with that we haven't already been doing? Where are you putting this person? Where are you putting this person? Because surely it's just like, yeah, come show us a play.
Yeah, I know, but like with Doc, let's say it's revving them up, and like, Thibs was actually assistant coach and orchestrated the defense, but they also had Kevin Garnett, where it's like Kevin Garnett, one of these transcendent defensive players, you can just put everyone in the right place. Same with Jokic, where it's like Jokic just puts everything in the right place. You've got Cat, who's a big problem, and you might not...
What, on just generally?
Just generally. Like, I think we might look back on this era of basketball and say, oh, of course, Karl-Anthony Towns was never going to win a championship unless he's 40 years old and on a minimum coming off the bench, right? That might just be the problem.
Yeah, well, that's kind of music to my ears. But it's a goofy fit because Cat still has all the Cat's a good thing. They need a coach that's going to make Cat a passer and a shooter and that never dribbles.
Or they need a healthy center and Cat plays the 4.
You know what? Cat and AD need to team up.
No, but like, Cat can go bare, like something like that.
But like...
No, seriously.
No, like you can just get Cat and AD in a room and be like, AD, we want you to play like this. But Cat's the 5.
Yeah. yeah. Like, I mean, it's going to be Mitchell Robinson. I think Mitchell Robinson will start at the 5, game 1 next year. Or whoever he gets traded for. I think it would be a center. I just, you might not be able to win a title with Cat, but if you can, it's going to be with like a mad scientist at center, mad scientist at head coach.
Yeah,
who's like, hey, Evan Mobley, I want you to cut backwards even though you're 7 foot, like some crazy shit like that. Jared Allen's reportedly available.
Damn, really?
Yeah, they said Darius Garland and Jared Allen are on the table to improve the team.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
I can't believe this Cavs team. It's always the same thing. No matter, they won 7,000 games this year, and they're still on the table.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, if you can get KD though.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Speaking about mucking around though.
Well, getting KD.
Yeah.
Or just any basketball team getting KD right now.
What success has KD had without already the best team ever?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. In OKC, I think that's a completely different KD, right? Like this modern.
Since then, Brooklyn, he was pretty ridiculous. Like that offseason, that postseason was really good. But since then, why is he getting 46 wins in Phoenix?
Yeah, I think that's also like there's no table setter there. KD trade rumors now. Nothing's in concrete. There's just rumors coming out of Phoenix. So it's like they were speaking to Houston about getting their picks back. They were really leaking the stuff, and then Houston's like, we'd rather get Giannis. If we don't get Giannis, we'd rather just get like good role players. Like, hey, Derek White's available.
But like, think about that. Really well built team, and they're saying we don't really want to get KD.
Yeah,
those are the tea leaves, Sean.
Yeah,
and that's like, the tea leaves.
And it's like if the Wolves go for him, it's like this is the Wolves' last bullet. Right?
I actually don't mind that one.
Yeah, but for it to happen, like I think if you're like me, you did it on 2K, awesome, like works. But for it to happen, you need Randall to pick up his player option and say, hey, I'm probably going to be getting paid in Phoenix. Does he really want to join Bradley Beal, Devin? Like, what a fucking dog shit lineup, right?
Oh my God.
So he's...
How the Suns going to survive the Beal-Randall minutes?
And then it's like, you got to give up Rob Dillingham, who you traded those picks at 30 and 31. Yeah. So it's like, okay, you're Minnesota... and you've traded Rob Dillingham, who look at him as your 2030 and 31 first-round picks, right?
Yeah.
You can't trade until 32. You're going to be in the second apron. That's going to get frozen anyway. And then you give up, like, your big young matching salary. Young matching salary is Randall, who's like 30 or 29.
Yeah.
And so this better work. And it's like, are you as good as the OKC Thunder? But then, like, the alternative is not doing anything.
Yeah. Like, it's probably... What's the actual risk of a fire sale? If it doesn't work, you just trade everyone but Ant.
Yeah.
You just trade everyone overnight.
So which is what's happening with Devin Booker right now.
Yeah.
And we're yet to see how that plays out. But
maybe that's the juju with KD.
To answer your question where it's like, okay, who wants KD? Like, when's he won as like the best guy? So he's sort of got to, I agree, he's sort of got to go somewhere as the second best guy.
Yeah.
Behind Ant, I think he would do that. But it's like you need all the stars to align where it's like you need this basketball team that's desperate enough to give up big salary because KD's getting like $54 million. You need these teams that are desperate enough to give up big salary, don't care that he's on the wrong side of 30 and has been for 5 years, and just are willing to pay Phoenix what they want. Because Phoenix can just say, hey, you're giving me no picks? Well, I don't want to do it. But you give me Rob Dillingham and like maybe a future, like whatever. I think the Wolves is the best one. What do you think? John Hollinger floated on his podcast with Nate Duncan yesterday a potential 2 timelines for the San Antonio Spurs. So they've got Fox, who they're likely going to renegotiate and extend on whatever that number's going to be, which is quite horrifying. They can get KD, and obviously they've got Wemby, and then they can have that compete now with these dudes on the wrong side of 30 plus Wemby, and then go ahead with, Dylan Harper, who they're going to draft second. And then they've got Stephen Castle, and they'll still have Wemby 5 years from now. What are your thoughts on that?
And then who are they giving up to KD? Just Chris Paul?
No, it'll be like Keldon Johnson.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying.
It'll be future pick. They've got the Atlanta picks.
Yeah. Do they want Keldon Johnson in 4 years? Like that'll be the only question, Like I don't mind it if they don't want. If they look at their 2030 roster and they say, we really just want Wemby and Castle.
No, can I butt in and say that's not the question? The question isn't, do we want Keldon Johnson in 4 years? Because the answer is no. The question is, can you get someone better with those Atlanta Hawks picks? Is Devin Booker going to be available 6 months from now?
If anyone's going to get more value down the line, it'll be the Spurs. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No way, man. You wait for disgruntled star. That guy's...
Yeah, describe
That guy is
25
like 4 months away.
Yeah.
The guy is always 4 months away. When's the next time this is going to happen? It's like the fucking eclipse.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the first time since, like,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, oh no, there was one, wasn't it? There was just one.
Yeah. But it's always but this came from northwest.
Yeah.
We actually, not gonna lie, no, I haven't. We actually haven't had a eclipse in a while.
I don't know how to see.
What's that mean?
And then,
Oh, I thought it was a sexual thing for some reason.
no. This podcast brought to you by Eclipse.
Have you seen an eclipse lately?
There was one like a year ago, within the last year.
Did the sky go red, or is that something else?
No, that's the sheep grazier warning you get on your iPhone.
There
was one in the US recently as well.
Yeah, okay.
Joshua Tree,
What am I doing going there to look at an eclipse?
Well, that's where all the NBA players are.
I'd love to see an eclipse. I'll just Google next
But
eclipse.
you can't. Isn't the whole thing about an eclipse that you can't look at them, most of them?
Oh, true.
Because it's like you go blind.
Well, that's the solar eclipse. I'm talking lunar.
Look at
Oh
that.
my God. Oh my. This year in September, we get both. In September, we're getting lunar
We got
and
a
solar.
TLE. Western Australia.
Hang on. So we got a lunar in September 7. That's all right. It's 11. And then we got a lunar in March 3rd next year.
Do you want to know
Not
what's
bad.
actually crazy though?
What?
Sorry, TLE for anyone who doesn't know, total lunar eclipse. September 7 this year. Partial solar eclipse, September 21. What does that mean, Sean?
Is that your
Because-
birthday?
No, not even close. But
October 23rd.
much closer. 3 days off, actually. The partial solar eclipse, September 21, that is the eve of equinox. So what does that mean? September 22, the most average day in the year.
Ah, you love
that-
shit like
You know,
that.
December 22, that's the longest day. June 22, which is just a few weeks away.
Shortest day.
Time of recording, yeah. And then September 22. So, bloody hell, man. The algo, the TikTok algo
Yeah.
will be absolute hell in equinox this year.
You ever talked about important dates with friend of the program, Ollie?
Only. No, does he like them?
He loves important days. He's always showing his Instagram story.
Oh my God, dude. Well, no, he likes like rhythmic dates. And
I could talk to him about equinoxes.
I reckon if Ollie's listening, he'll probably vouch. I've probably sent in, more
dates.
submissions. I'm not joking than everyone else combined.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
100%.
I sent him something the other day. No, it was the footy scores because it was like 7-11, like that's the name of the store. It's like 7-11 42, 7-11 42 or something.
Yeah, couldn't possibly be right.
In my alternate universe where we changed the scoring.
You want to know a fun quirk about the footy scores? Is that whenever it's the same number for goals and behinds and total score,
Yeah.
it is, I don't know how to explain this rule, but 1 goal 1 is 7, 1 7 is 7, 2 goals 2 is 14, 2 sevens is 14, and so on and so forth.
This reminds me of how I remember most of the 9 times tables. Have I told you this?
Richard of York gave battle in Valor. That one? No? Okay, that's the rainbow.
Wow, that's awesome. That is the rainbow. So 9 times 4, right?
36.
Yeah. The first digit, you take 1 away from what you're timesing with.
Nice.
And then the second digit, you take that digit from 10.
Yeah, very good. There's also this one. That's your 9 times tables right there.
I don't get it.
9,
You love this shit, but
18, 27, 36,
you spun there for a second.
45, 54, 63.
Oh, cool. That's sort of what I'm going with.
Yeah. Yeah, but
That's sick, actually.
yeah, well, yours is good because you could apply it to more than 10.
Nah, but I can only apply it from 2 to 9.
Right, okay.
I remember telling a teacher in primary school, and they're like, "Oh, that's awesome." A bit.
Yeah. It's awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when are you ever timesing more than 12?
Yeah, bro. We've got calculators now.
Got calculators, so you're right, what? You ruled good for 70% of the time.
I'm like a broken clock. Wrong 70% of the time. All right.
Sean.
So we'll wrap this up. Steph, we'll just do a rapid fire. Steph Curry's interested in team ownership after the NBA.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I like that it's the Knicks as well, because he's interested in what might be available.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, Toronto Raptors have mutual interest.
Sure.
Austin Ainge, Utah Jazz. Already talked about it. Tim Connolly expects to remain with the Minnesota Timberwolves long term.
I expect a few things as well in my life. I don't know how Tim Connolly will go with that.
Yeah. On the first possession...
You could be his character reference, couldn't you?
Yeah. On the first... on the first possession of the NBA Finals Game 1, who's guarding Shea?
I reckon it's Naismith.
Right? They're not going to go straight up like Halliburton just for the first play, or are they going to go Siakam or...
Nah.
I think
it's Naismith or Nemhard.
I think it's Naismith as well.
Yeah. Is Nemhard starting?
Yep.
Yeah, it's Naismith or Nemhard.
Awesome. All right, Luke, thanks for coming on the pod.
Ciao. I'm going to get Paul in. You want to talk WNBA? Maybe some WNBL? Australian Opals chat? Heck, even dabble in some EuroLeague? Find the W Basketball Show on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.